We're here with NC Courage head coach Sean Nahas out of the team's Friday night game against Bay FC. Sean, obviously a little bit of a condensed week after the Sunday game last weekend, Friday game this week. Just how's the group been in training this week?
Yeah, we really haven't trained, so our spirits seem to be good and coming off a good result on the road. But yeah, we've sort of kept it light all week.
Bay, new team, new coach, new challenge. What does kind of playing expansion team for the first team present in terms of a different challenge to maybe a team you played in the past before?
I mean, it's like I've talked about for the last 2 years. It's about us. It's not about opposition. It's us being the best version of ourselves. And, we can study the opposition for 10 years. It doesn't mean they're going to show us the same stuff every time. So we have to worry about ourselves. And whether they're a new team, old team, I know they're going to be organized. Our team does a good job. And they're sort of catching a little bit of a stride. They made some good roster moves to help them solidify some things. But, I'm confident in the group for sure. And trust that we'll show up at home and ready to play.
Thanks for your time, Sean. I wanted to ask about Leah, obviously coming off a kind of banner game with 3 assists and has been a stalwart in defense all season. What do you think her performance is and her ability now to maybe get some offensive contributions as well as moving to her game?
Yeah, I mean, 2 of the assists are on corners, so it's sort of it's a combination of things there. But I thought the ball that she played to Bianca was a different level, something that not many people see. That third line opposite ball, something we talked about. But the fact that she played it the way she did and coming from the distance, it was unbelievable. But, again, we trust our players to make decisions, and the ability to get on the ball and make, the thing that see what they see may be different than what we think. And, if they want to attack out of the back on the ball, they have every right to do it as long as it makes sense. They don't put us at risk, and the players around are putting the countermeasures in place. But I think if anything, I've seen more of a growth and maturity in Malia just in terms of the day-to-day professionalism. That's something that's really tough for players to grasp, especially coming into this league and what it takes here in our culture. But you can see at the beginning of the year she was struggling and with a multitude of things, little knick-knack injuries, and that's just coming down to taking care of yourself, and she's done that. And I think that's been a direct correlation to why she's starting to perform the way she did. And her relationship with KK is exceptional. So, but yeah, Malia on the ball is really, really good, and so is KK's, and so is Ryan's. And but yeah, they have the freedom to make decisions, but we don't dictate that.
Yeah, and talking about that center back pairing, this might be a bit of a simplistic question, but it really does seem like their games complement each other very well. Was that by design, or did it sort of fall into place that way, where Haley's taking some of the responsibilities and Leah's doing some of the other ones, and it just fits really quite seamlessly?
It's just part of being on a team. We all have to rely on each other. The 4 and 5 have to rely on our 6s, and 6 have to rely on our 10 and 9. So it's a correlation. We don't preach the individual. We preach the team concept, and that's why we play the way we play. But everyone needs to know what each other's roles and responsibilities are so that they understand how they have to cover in potential moments. But I think, KK's evolution has been tremendous. Her distribution is so good. She's seeing things that she hasn't seen, in the last 2 years. She's building off of last year, but she's also someone that can put in a little bit of the grunt work when you need to. But if you look at the partnerships across the back, Ryan and KK Malia, Malia Feely, or Malia Danny, it's been seamless, and I think that's the best part. So no, I don't think it wasn't by design. That's part of development. Everyone gets taught the same way. We're not teaching KK something different than we're teaching Malia, and vice versa. We teach everyone the same stuff so that the balance is there. The innate stuff that you can't teach, they all have. I can't teach someone if they don't have the heart and desire to tackle. You either have it or you don't. And if you're not going to be willing to tackle, then you better be damn good on the ball. And we feel we have a good balance across all channels in that regard.
You were pretty active in the summer transfer window. All players who were signed up had some time to come in and get adjusted, and I think most of them have had playing time so far. How are they settling into the routine and kind of getting used to being first players?
I mean, it's hard to come in mid-season in our culture. If you're not here from day one, you're doing a lot of catch-up work, a lot of detail that they miss, and they're coming from different environments. Not to say that in their previous environments it was wrong. That's what suited them in those environments. But in our environment, it's level of detail is so important, the way we play, and the onus on every little thing matters, every little angle. And from a culture standpoint, they fit in seamlessly. From a soccer football perspective, I think it's going to take time. You have some coming from an Australian league, which is not the same setup as here. So now they're getting adjusted to the professionalism side of things on a more consistent basis in terms of the length of the season. So if you're in the Australian league, that's what, 5 months, whatever, roughly. Now you're coming into a double. So it's like, put it this way, it's like being a college player, and then you're playing for 3 months, and you're going into pro playing for 10. Usually after that third month, they hit a wall, right? So we're just easing them in. The key thing is, do they fit in with our players? And it's not hard to fit in with our players. Even like, for example, someone like Mace, she played with me in U18, but it's vastly different at the pro level. So in between then and now, she hadn't heard our voices and hasn't heard our details. So because it's different in each zone, so it's going to take her time. I see that more flourishing maybe at the beginning of next year than it does now. Whereas this is just, how do we get her in moments where it can help her develop. So, but from a culture standpoint, that's the most important thing right now.
And kind of looking a little more league-wide, I could be wrong, but it felt like there was a lot more transfer activity this summer around the league in general than in past years. Did you feel similarly, or?
I don't even know who did what. To be honest with you, I don't know how some teams are even pulling this off. Mm-hmm. I would love to know what the salaries are, but it's none of my business. It becomes everyone's business. But I was shocked by it. But this is the thing for me. Like, we're not going to bring someone in our environment unless they fit how we play. Having a style of play and a game model allows us to do that. We just find players that suit us. Like, we don't necessarily have to go crazy. I think the league overall, I was surprised by some of the things I saw, but I'm not in the day-to-day, so I don't know why people are doing what. I think the free agency dynamic has definitely impacted it. It's like, we don't want to lose a player, so we got to get something out of it. That can only work for some players. Sometimes you got to take a risk in certain moments. But if anything, what it shows is that more international players want to start coming to our league, which is what we've all been pushing for. And we didn't lose many players to overseas leagues, if any, which is great. But that's one window. How do we continue to grow and maintain and raise the standards inside of our individual culture, and then inside 13, 14 other cultures? Because it's not perfect anywhere. And it never will be, but we can continue to strive, because that's what's going to help our game grow. I think the bump from the Olympics was typical. But we can't rely on successive national teams to do that. We have an obligation in our league. Got the players carry enough burden and enough weight. Now Now we have to provide the avenues so that their burden can be lessened, and that more players say, that's the professional environment we want to be in the league. And you can see that we're making strides on it. You see all these random articles being brought out, and it's like, can we just stick with the positive for one freaking year? Just stick with the positive. It's like you take 2 steps forward and you take a step back. It's like, it drives me nuts. But it was definitely interesting. But it was people that wanted to go closer to home. Okay, it's like, but yeah, I don't know why people do business, so it's hard for me to really say. We didn't make any real crazy moves. We just brought in people that we think in the long. Aline, for example, young kid who's going to be exceptional, but it's going to take her time to adjust in our league. So she's still a baby. But yeah, it'll all be good in the long run for sure.
Thank you, Sean.